morning. I'm going to call the emergency call meeting for Tuesday, May 28, 2024 to order. There's one item on the agenda, which is the approval of renewal of a resolution declaring the local state of emergency due to the severe thunderstorms in Suwannee County.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
as to the form of the resolution, there's some changes to this one. You all had an opportunity to look. The administrator and I, going back, he asked if there was any way to extend it so that way you all don't have to convene
Every 7 days?
every 7 days, because in other jurisdictions they've done that. I looked at those, and the way they're doing it was just wrong. Like, it's illegal, and I don't like that. I spoke with some of those attorneys, and their reason for it was like, who's ever going to call us on it? And that kind of came from the pandemic and not wanting to have to meet every 7 days during the pandemic, which I understand. The problem with it is the liability that it exposes you all to, because if somebody uses an emergency power, gives a contract to it, and doesn't it open up for bidding? And then you could get sued for an improper bid procedure, and there could be real liability there. I went back, talked with Tommy Reeves over in Madison. The statute says that the political subdivision shall renew it every 7 days. It doesn't say the county commission needs to renew it every 7 days. So there's a good argument that there's some wiggle room because it says the political subdivision instead of the county commission. And so Greg and I spoke about it. I didn't want to name, and so I think from that, the political subdivision, i.e. you guys, can appoint an agent, someone who's authorized to renew on your behalf within reason. Like, there's got to be kind of a common sense approach to it, because otherwise you could have a state of emergency forever. And so this was my policy decision, which is why I wanted to bring it to y'all's attention, because you guys can change this. This is just what I did in the proposed resolution. I don't think, and this is nothing against Mr. Scott, I don't think it's a good idea for the administrator to be the person who's responsible for renewing the state of emergency, because the person who's going to benefit from the power ought not have the power to give himself the power or renew the power. And so what it does is it authorizes the chair, and if not the chair, the vice chair, but it doesn't have to be, well, it doesn't have to be both of y'all. So essentially, for example, let's say we're in next term, if we were in last term and you can't track down Franklin because he's in south part of the county, they could have tracked you down because you're local. So you get the vice chair. The chair or the vice chair has the authority to renew it if it was going to otherwise expire during that 7 days, provided that there's not a regularly scheduled meeting of the county commissioners within that 7 day period. So basically, the board authorizes the meeting, authorizes the state of emergency. The board at its regularly scheduled meeting can renew the state of emergency. In the meantime, it authorizes the chairman or the vice chairman to, on behalf of the county, renew to get us to that next regularly scheduled.
Basically, in the off weeks, the chair and the vice chair, whomever that is at the time, would have the authority to renew it until the commission can renew it on the on weeks, on being first and third.
And if for whatever reason you guys don't renew it, that authority terminates. And so it'll ultimately be the board that shuts it down. Which, again, and the reason I wanted to say those were my policy decisions as to how to do it, about who should have the authority and when it should expire. I spoke about them with Greg. We both thought it was a good idea, but I wanted you guys to understand it if you guys wanted to sign off on it and the thought process behind it.
The one thing in addition, I might add that at a commission meeting or as a regular meeting, I think it needs to be just made a notice and made that you did approve it to extend it, in the interim. So we're all transparency is important.
Yeah, we can do that. That way, that just prevents all five of us and staff having to get together every 7 days. Instead, just the vice chair or chair can swing by, I guess, administration office and sign the declaration or whatever, renew it, and then the following week or two, if it's a long month, the board does it.
If you want to, Mr. Chairman, at the next regularly scheduled meeting, just so the public understands, because they're used to hearing you guys got to meet. I don't mind explaining it again in the regular meeting, so that way they understand what's happening. I'm fine doing that. But anyway, those are policy decisions, and I thought you guys should know the thought process behind it.
I think that's more efficient and convenient, just to remember the chair or vice chair is to renew it on the off weeks. That's up to y'all. I'm good with it.
As long as there's no issues, I don't mind getting together if we need to if there's an issue.
Right.
with any of this.
Right.
Don't mind 1 minute.
Well, and two, if we were to find there was something major, squirrely, something that came up or whatever, we might punt and get right into it anyway, just to, make sure that you'll have a chance to vote on that. But the procedural piece is pretty easy.
Yeah, if there's something like, like debris pickup or something, or some, hey, we need to make a decision on something, then, hey, just call the off-week meeting and get everybody together and talk about it.
Kind of the way I thought about it working, Mr. Chairman, was, this is a weird analogy, but the way the Supreme Court works is the way you've got a justice in charge of each region for emergency stuff, right? So that way they're not in charge for the whole country, but if something real important comes in, that justice will say, it's just not right that I'm the only one who decides whether or not to grant the stay or whatever. He'll refer it to the full court. Similarly here, if there's something that happens during that meantime, then I will leave it to the discretion of the chair or the vice chair to say, this isn't appropriate for me to do alone and reconstitute.
I understand. So with that being said, if we renew this one, we have a meeting next week. The board would remove the next one. Should we stay under a LSC for that second week after, then the chair or vice chair would be able to do it without having to. Wish we'd had that during COVID. It was like 2 years.
The way they were doing it, it just says we're under a state of emergency until the governor says we're not, but the statute says the local government shall renew every 7 days, so.
It needs to be renewed before Tuesday's meeting, Tuesday afternoon's meeting.
Okay.
Right.
So Monday.
Right.
Right, so you may need to sign it on Monday.
Okay.
That's what you guys, like I said, I don't mind either way. We need to get together for 10 or 15 minutes. I know it takes a lot out of our mornings. Monday mornings are sometimes a little hard, but
Well, I think if we just pass it on and say that it's good, and it's not nothing important, we have to go and take care of it.
It's just a procedural.
Yeah.
And let the chair, vice chair do it. And then if it's something that's, hey, we need to talk about it, if it's a policy change or whatnot, then we need to get together. But if it's just a procedural to follow the statute, then there's a cost and effort to do this every 7 days on everyone's behalf, staff.
so just for, you say public knowledge, the only thing that you would be signing would be just to extend.
Just to extend it.
No policy made, no changes made, no decisions made, just to keep it going until.
Just to renew the piece of paper that says we're still under it for the next 7 days.
In fact, it's written in the proposed resolution for y'all that the form of the renewal shall be exactly the same. So like there's no room for, like that's
No room to
the
sign
only thing you're
something.
authorized to sign.
Is the extension.
Literally the
The only
exact
thing that
same.
would change on the resolution, the extending the LSC would be the date. Other than that, the chair or vice chair has no authority to change any of the parameters inside of it other than the date.
Yes,
Right?
sir. Yes, sir.
So all you're doing is extending an LLC that the board had already previously approved with no authority. So if you are good with that, all we need is a motion and a second to.
So now, all time, just say now, next time this happens, then we have to meet that first time to establish this, if it happens again, and then we can proceed on this.
Right, so let's say we found ourselves in another daily situation, the board would have to constitute to declare the state of emergency.
Okay.
And then the chair or the vice chair would have the authority to renew it until the next regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of County Commissioners.
That's right. So really, all you're getting a week, maybe 2 weeks on the long month,
Yes, sir.
which is only a few couple, 2-3 months out of the year. But other than that, all you're getting is the renewal authority.
And so move.
A motion by Commissioner Perkins, a second by Commissioner Mobley. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Mr. Scott, do you have anything further?
Debris pickup's supposed to start today through the 7th. I've heard nothing from EOC or from DOT. Our instructions are to deal with EOC. That's who DOT is contacting. We don't have a contact at DOT. You know, they want to keep it real tight, though they did let the cat out of the bag the other day, and they weren't supposed to.
So
But at the safety meeting, pardon?
No.
Figure that out.
But anyway, so I don't know what other counties they've got picked up now, but so if you've got anything that you know that needs to be taken care of, you know, let us know. I think going through the 7th, we'll pass the 7th, the LAC makes sense. That way, if we see something that needs to be done
Absolutely.
after whoever picks up, then we can address that. But beyond that, I think we're not going to, it's not like a deluge where you got to go and do things, you know, like we did then, where you got to buy product or stuff and whatever. It's just, it's pretty simple right now.
Just
So,
simple pickup, mostly pick up, maybe cut here and there, but pick up. I see I have seen over the last few days folks starting to pile it in their right of way, or cleaning up their own right of way that's on the road, and they're kind of stacking it up. So there are some piles starting to accumulate.
so if there's anything that you've sent us that hasn't got taken care of, let us give it to us again. Just make sure we don't slip something through, or won't let something slip through the cracks on our end. So.
Okay.
Very
good.
All right. Anything else, Mandy, Eric, Adam?
No, sir.
All good.
All we need is a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Hale, second by Commissioner Perkins. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you, guys.